The rent is so damn high, as Jimmy McMillan says. Does anybody know this? No. We've lost 1 million plus rent stabilized apartments in the city of New York in the last 25 years. And they want to replace that 1 million rent stabilized apartments by tearing down our homes. Okay, they created the problem. The legislature, previous legislature, and the governors at the time, and the city council all thought it was a great idea to create deregulatory schemes in order to allow prices to go market. So over the last 25 years, we've lost over 1 million. Now we have tens of thousands of vacant units. Why do we have tens of thousands of vacant units? Because landlords don't want to rent anymore because they can't get rid of anybody. So it's one side or the other side, right? It's not a clear, as I said, a lot of this is not black and white, it's very gray. But we did not cause this problem. And we certainly shouldn't be the target to fix, quote unquote, fix the problem, and all they're gonna do is make it even worse. Sir?
So, who's gonna afford these construction? Like, I know Long Island City has gross apartments, quiet. Let's say they go ahead and they build buildings. 1 bedroom, $1 million, 2 bedrooms, $1.5 million.
These are gonna be rentals.
Then who's gonna afford $5,000-$6,000 rent?
Problem for another day, sir.
I mean, if they tell you how people, an average person cannot pay $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay, so what the gentleman asked is who's gonna afford these apartments, whether they're for sale or they're rentals. And again, they're really rentals. They're not looking to build stuff for people to buy. The goal is to allow developers to build wherever they want to build. It has nothing to do with the ultimate outcome. It's deregulation of land use.
They don't want anybody to own anything.
They don't want people to own anything, but I'd say it's even baser than that. They want to be able to build anywhere they want. Because the donors to the mayor who gave him all the money were all real estate people, and that's who he's paying back. It's really that simple.
Just to point out that those two huge monster buildings on Queens Boulevard in Rego Park, where the developer was the Turkish.
The same Turkish developers. So what she said was the two buildings in Rego Park were the same. Yes, Claudia.
Just want to jump in for a second.
Absolutely.
And then you can continue to ask Paul questions. We had a discussion about this beforehand. There's a little piece of this that I'd also like to share, and that has to do with the accessory dwelling units in backyards, okay? Because along with everything that Paul's telling us, there's a saying that's traveling with this whole thing. The mayor keeps saying, it is the responsibility of all New Yorkers to take responsibility for affordable housing. So, as Paul's pointing out, there is no housing shortage. They're claiming there's a housing shortage of affordable units, okay? And so, our attempting to restrict the zoning in our neighborhoods, that puts the blame on us for why people can't find places to live. So we end up in a bit of a trap. As we fight to protect neighborhood character and so on, that we get labeled as people who don't care about other people. It's a problem, all right? Now, we discussed this, and I'm going to say it. So the ADUs, accessory dwelling units, what that is by definition is that you can build something, my understanding is 800 square feet.
There's attic.
No, I'm talking about ADU.
ADUs. Attic, attachment to your back of your house, or a freestanding building up to 800 square feet.
Right.
It can be anywhere. It can be in your house, out of your house, and in certain areas, basement and cellars.
Okay.
That's an ADU.
Right, yes. The ones we're talking about that upset people the most, okay? So the basements, first of all, we know a lot of them flood, attics, that's
People
kind of...
burn.
People die
Yeah,
on it.
fires. The fire department doesn't like any of this. The potential for being able to take your garage and turn that into an apartment, or the ones that get built in the backyard. So the part of your garden where you
Up
like
to 50% of your backyard.
plant your tomatoes and all the rest of it, or whatever you do back there, that gets paved over and a little building goes back there. That building The restriction is 5 feet from the back property line and 10 feet from your back door. So it jams everything in. So you have to imagine that you may not want to do it, but your next door neighbor might want to do it.
Correct.
And so the house next to you becomes multi-family. The reason I'm going into this, and I'm going to give this back.
Sure.
The reason I'm going into this is because we have a homelessness problem in New York. And there are pilot programs to create a voucher program so that the city pays a landlord the rent to house a person. And once you get the person in, you'll never get them out. They must find a way also, as all of this is going on, to deal with homelessness in addition. And my position on this is essentially, it is not our responsibility, it is your responsibility. It is not my backyard where this is going to happen. We have empty property, and you can tell me where the M1s, empty around the city, a whole bunch of them, big swaths of property where there can be housing or mobile homes or something like that, very nice to get the homeless off the street, but not in our backyards. So I just want to tuck that in here. And then also at the end, I want to talk about a couple of things we might do, including signing the letter. So we have the letter that you can sign, and there's 2 meetings coming up that I want to tell you about, but just so you know, now I'm going to give this back.
Thank you, Claudia. So one thing I do want to mention, and then I'll take your question, is I was at a meeting, so again, we have at least 150 people here tonight, which is fantastic. On Saturday, I was in Cambria Heights. 550 people turned out. And there were dozens turned away because it would have been against fire code. It was at the Cambria Heights Library. And they were actually live streaming the event from a classroom in the basement with 100 and something people in it, with people in the hallway looking through the windows, and 400 people on the first floor with 3 TV screens live streamed from the basement. And let me tell you, they are planning to drop a homeless shelter in the middle of Cambria Heights. And if you know Cambria Heights at all, it's 90% single-family detached homes. It's right on the Nassau County border. And they want to put, I believe it's a 300-bed shelter for men there. Well, the mayor says that's not happening. But meanwhile, we looked up and it says, nonprofit organization contracted with the Department of Homeless Services. So, again, all the stuff I said before, and again, Claudia, everything you're saying is spot on. No one, we need to be showing up. Again, 150 people, fabulous. We need to have 500 people. We need to have 1,000 people. And we are building that right now, and I'm sure Claudia's going to talk a little bit about this, but we have stuff that if you have the time, we're going to make sure you're going to be showing up to these events. Sir, let me take the woman in the back first, please.
You mentioned that our community board 6 approved this.
Your board approved this unanimously with conditions.
What were
And
the
the conditions were minimal, I believe.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear.
Community board 6, as far as I know, because I spoke at 10 community boards, 9 community boards who all voted no, and the 10th I didn't go to, but they voted no. I actually reached out to community board 6 and I never received a reply. And community board 6 voted, I believe unanimously yes. I may be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they unanimously yes with conditions, but the conditions were nothing. Yeah, I mean, they really weren't anything
Is there
important.
anything we can do about that?
Can you do anything about that? Well, I highly recommend, I'll let Claudia do this, because this is her bailiwick.
Okay, so here's, you know, you can see the tangle that this is. You can see the administrative tangle they've created, the complicated length of the plans and so on. It takes a planner to get through it, you know. So everything about this has been complex, deliberately so. So just hang on a second. So tonight is our meeting. Why? Because the week of May 20, the City Council is voting on the economic portion. That's the corner store and the middle of the block thing that I talked about.
The 18 proposals.
The 18 proposals, correct. So, that's why we're having our meeting to get ourselves together here. That's why I have a letter here that can go to Lynn Schulman and all the other people to basically say, you better vote no. So that's step one. Step two
It's Wednesday.
is that this Wednesday, our Community Board 6, is receiving the presentation. Now, this is a public meeting. Receiving the presentation from Department of City Planning, laying out the housing part that Paul just explained to you. So I'm going to that. And you all should come to it. You can come to the community board meetings. It's in Borough Hall, and when a whole bunch of people show up, they won't even know what to do with us. The way the commentary happens at our community board meeting is that they moved comment to the front of the meeting. And, you can disagree with me, Paul, but it puts us in a position where we can't even say anything because the presentation follows us. Oh, thank you so much. So I personally want to go and sit and watch these people tell us how great this is.
Without
knowing-
giving you any information.
Right, knowing that it isn't. Okay, so fine. So we show up, a whole bunch of us show up, Community Board 6, listen, and they'll just see a lot of people and they think, oh, they're on to us. Okay, then on June 4, the Zoning and Planning Committee of Community Board 6 holds a public hearing on the housing portion that Paul's been talking about. And between Wednesday night and June 4, because you gave me all your email addresses and telephone numbers, and now I know where to find you, that means that I can basically put statements, if anyone wants to call, we usually are allowed to testify for 2 minutes, and you have to practice. It's 3, but they cut you down to 2. I'll get 5 because I'm a committee, I'm president or whatever I am. But the thing is, what happens is when a whole ton of people show up, they'll say, you have to register on the community board site to say you're coming. You have to also say what you're coming to talk about. And then they'll say, oh, well, we heard 10 of them. We don't have to hear all of them. So sometimes they cut down on the ability.
It'll be a minute instead of 2 minutes.
Well,
Sometimes.
they tell everybody that we don't want to hear from all of you because we just heard from 10 people. No, I've been through this.
That's interesting.
They just say, oh yeah, we understand. So you can all show up and want to testify. Even if you don't get to speak, look at this room, okay? So they have to be put on notice that we're just not going for it. Then there's in the fall, but you talk about the other things that you're doing, because you're doing like rallies.
Well, let's switch back. So I always love to be educated because I've never been to a community board 6 meeting before, and I didn't realize that they stopped the people from testifying. That's a new one for me. A lot of times, I see you, sir. A lot of times when you get 150 people turning out, they cut it down to 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, but they do, typically, most community boards do let everybody at least testify, so that's a new one for me. Sir?
When you talk about the homeless in this regard, does that include the illegal migrants, or
Okay.
is that just another?
So
pile of
I didn't
stuff?
bring it up, Claudia brought it up, but I will say this.
They don't care about the homeless.
Let me just say this. And it's the only thing I'm going to say on it. The migrant situation is a temporary, transitory situation, right? We've had 200,000 people come here, and yet there's only 60,000 people left from 2 years ago, or people, so there's a cycle of people who are coming in and leaving from the city. We have no idea what the end product of this is going to be. So that I would separate from our permanent homeless population, or
But some of them are
folks
gonna
who
become
need
homeless
housing.
and gonna add on to the problem, right?
I'm sorry, say again?
Some of them may stay and become
Some.
part of the homeless,
Some,
and
it's
that's gonna
possible.
exacerbate it even more.
Well, we have something in our city charter that 40 years ago, a bunch of lawyers said, oh, well, according to the city charter, anybody who shows up can get housing in the city of New York. Another reason to think about maybe not being part of the city of New York anymore. Because you can get rid of as-of-right development and zoning. You can have your own kids in your own schools. You don't have to house people. I don't want to sound unsympathetic, but you're not being forced to do things that we are not capable of, nor should we be
It's
responsible for.
self-inflicted wound.
It's self-inflicted, and unfortunately, you know, what is it? Put 2 lawyers in a room, what happens, right? Put 6 lawyers in a room, you'll end up with maybe 1 lawyer left. And again, I deal with legal stuff all the time. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but we have intractable problems that will never be solved. But does the city really want to drive out the main taxpayers and the stability of the city? That's the question we have to ask, and that's a question that has to be asked to every elected official. I see, sir, and then in the back, go ahead. Yeah.
My name is David Abraham. I live in Parsons Gardens, and I called the Gardens Corporation this morning after seeing the sign just arrived a few minutes ago, because I had something urgent happen. And I asked them if somebody from the Parsons Gardens Corporation board could possibly come here. I don't know if anybody did, or if they sent somebody, but there's several hundred homeowners there that I'm sure would be very, very amenable to sharing everybody's concern in this room. I know some people feel maybe worried or scared, but there is a lot of numerical power and voting power, okay?
Sure.
And more minds that we can bring into the picture, because it's just a matter of time till, you know, I've spoken to people that are, I work in the Republican Party politics, not with the Queens Republican Party, just with people that are trying to make Queens Republican again. And this whole subject has been discussed ad infinitum for the last
Right.
2 years. I mean, it's one of the main topics that we talk about all the time. So they really are, whoever in charge here, I'd like to speak to them at the end of the meeting.
Let me just say one thing.
Lay us on with them.
Yeah, I just want you to know that I extended invitations, just so you know, and I have been in touch with them, but there's several meetings tonight in the community, all at the same time, and that's one of the reasons that people didn't show up, just so you know, there's outreach.
In addition, there were, at least at the beginning of the meeting, several people from the Gardens here, and I have met with the board of the Gardens. I just want everybody to know that. I have met with them, they are aware of this, and I am in contact with them. So again, I'm not the grand poobah here, but my point is, it's out there. So what I've said to the Gardens, and I say to every group, is I'm happy to speak to anybody about this, because the more people that know, the better chance we have at either killing it or coming up with a solution. Sorry, miss. There was somebody else before you. I'll come back to you. Okay. Sir in the back. Yep.
Thank you. From what I recall, during previous rezonings, the city planning commission would come out and do individual meetings with neighborhoods and like talk about characteristics and take feedback. Do you know if they're willing to do that? Like go to civic associations?
Well, if you saw what I showed you, they're not doing any analysis. They're not doing anything. This is not the city planning of even 2 years ago. We are in a new world. We are in a new world, and we are in a planning department that is hostile to communities, period. They do not believe it is their job to actually do anything with communities except impose their plan on you.
Has the civic association asked them to come out and present to the public?
No.
So, just so you know, it's a good question. When we did the original downzoning, as I say, you go through the zoning and planning of your board, then Queen City Planning, then City Planning. When we did that years ago, a bunch of people on the City Planning Commission in the city got in a little bus and came out, and we were able to walk them around, and that was the final thing they needed to see in order to okay our proposal. However, I have invited Community Board 6 out here 2 times. I've invited all 50 of them to come walk around, and I'll buy them coffee at McDonald's. And so far they haven't taken me up on it, and they think it's kind of weird that I keep saying that. The reason I say it is because they don't understand this area at all, and they keep voting against us.
Okay, so Again, sir, I see you, and miss, I see you too. So, again, previously, the Department of City Planning worked with communities. They would work with communities and work with elected officials and work with community boards in a previous lifetime, not too far back. Every administration is different, and this administration is like nothing I've ever seen in 30 years. There is no community engagement. As I said, they bragged that they had 175 meetings, which came out to 3 meetings per community board. They were not transparent, they were very opaque. They are not giving details. Many of the times the DC people are coming and saying, when someone asks a question, I'll get back to you on that. I don't know the answer to that one. I've had to correct them multiple times at meetings, which is crazy. These people should know the basics of what they're presenting. They're reading off of a sheet of paper that they've been supplied. They don't even know what they're talking about. It's scary. It's very scary. Miss, and then you. Sorry. So who would raise it? No. Somebody. I'm sorry, sir. Yeah.
Who's the main sponsor of this?
Mayor Eric Adams.
On the city council?
On the city council. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Adrian Adams, who's the Speaker of the City Council, she was at a thing called the NYU Furman Center for Real Estate. The NYU Furman Center is a think tank on real estate with NYU. The head of the NYU Furman Center for Real Estate is Vicki Bean. Vicki Bean was the deputy mayor under de Blasio. Vicki Bean is also the author of a wildly false report that she used to try to tell people that white, wealthy neighborhoods were downzoned and low-income neighborhoods of color were upzoned. And that went to Speaker Johnson with his planning together, and I disproved the entire thing. And so did the folks in Southeast Queens and the folks in other parts of the city and the incredible diversity we have everywhere. And all of the rezonings that were done, she's a liar, and she controls and she's also, by the way, one of the people voting on the casinos. She's on the state casino board. She's one of the 4 state casino commissioners. Okay, so she is very much pushing this. At this new NYU Furman thing, Speaker Adams was there, and a question was asked about, because this was all about City of Yes, and she said, and I think she was very honest in her statement, my community, remember she covers Southeast Queens, she covers like South Jamaica, St. Albans, Springfield Gardens, South Ozone Park, a lot of 1 and 2 family homes, homeowner areas, middle income. In fact, her area is majority homeowner. And she said, my community is going to be very opposed to the City of Yes. They like their neighborhood and they like their homes. It's a very honest statement. 4 days later, she put out a joint editorial with the mayor saying the City of Yes must come to fruition. And all about how the City of Yes was the best thing that ever happened and we have to make it happen.
What did you get for it?
I can't speculate on that, Miss. I'm just telling you the facts about that. You guys can draw your own conclusions. I'm not going to talk about that. But there are people on the council who are in favor of this. There are state senators and assembly members who are also in favor of this. You need to investigate that on your own. Find out how your assembly members and state senators feel about all of this, as well as obviously your council member and other council members. One council member, again, doesn't represent this area. His name is Lincoln Ressler. Lincoln Ressler represents Greenpoint, Williamsburg, Brooklyn Heights. I've known him for a long time. Not my favorite person, but head of the Progressive Caucus of the City of New York. He thinks the City of Yes is just great. Okay? So there are people on the council who have made it very clear they are in favor, and there are people on the council who said they are dead set against it. The problem is we need 26 votes. That's the problem. Sorry, you're first, and then we'll come around.
Any sense of how many council members
18.
are? Okay.
18 no votes. I need 8 votes. Next. Yeah, I need like 34 votes, but 26 is the minimum. Go ahead, Ms.
Thank you for this. This is very informative. I know a lot of people who couldn't make it tonight. Is there a scaled down, digestible version of this PowerPoint or
Yes.
something that we could pass around
So,
to?
to answer your question, the Cambria Heights video that had 550 people was posted up today. Go to Paul Graziano YouTube, put in Google, Paul Graziano YouTube, City of Yes, say no to the City of Yes, it'll all come up. We're filming this one tonight. We're posting it up. We also had one at the Queens Civic Congress, which is a big umbrella organization for civic and homeowners groups, at their luncheon on April 14th, and I gave a 22-minute version of this. It's pretty easy to digest. But I'm just gonna tell you, the one that we did on Saturday is off the hook. It is wild, and it's good to watch, and I think that, to me, that's the best one to watch, because not only the enthusiasm, but I think the honest discussion that took place was really something. Okay, next. Yes, I'm gonna come, yeah, go ahead, you go and then you in the back.
Okay, is there a website?
Yes, so my website is saveonefamilyny.org, but we're really lazy and we haven't connected everything, but we will. But again, Paul Graziano, YouTube, say no to the City of Yes, it should pop right up. Yes.
And did VP Richards vote yes on the city?
Absolutely. He thinks the City of Yes is great. Sir?
Sounds like it's almost gonna definitely happen in city council, right?
Who says?
You sound like you said you're at.
What I said was, I have 18 votes.
Right.
I need 26.
Okay.
That's what I said. And probably I need more because some of the people are at the last second gonna change their votes. That's what, yeah. Yep.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because over the time that the Civic has been fighting things, what we've encountered over the years, what people may not realize here is that on the property on Metropolitan Avenue where the schools are, the thing that was slated to go in there was a mall. When I say a mall, I mean from Woodhaven all the way to almost Continental, from Union Turnpike to Metro, not running over the houses over to the backs of the houses. That project was being developed potentially by Forest City Ratner. The entire thing was under the comprehensive retail strategy of Rudy Giuliani as campaign money payback to developers. We found out about that mall, Civic Association. We fought it and we stopped it. We also stopped the 26-screen multiplex that was supposed to go in there. And then we managed to get schools built because Queens was 30,000 seats short at that time. The entire time that we were fighting it, which took 15 years, the entire time we were told, don't bother, you'll never win. Don't bother, it's as of right. Every place we went, people told us to give up, give up, give up. And we just started laughing. And finally, as of right designation is kind of like them telling you, go away, rubber stamp. And I finally realized one day, and I said at the Board of Standards and Appeals, I don't care if it is as of right. It is as of right. Stop saying it to me. I don't want it. My neighborhood doesn't want it. Stop. And we won. We also did the dam zone. We've done a number of things. So my attitude is always, if I'm gonna lose, I'm going down fighting. That's it.
Right. Yeah. And I want to say, you guys don't know me, but I am not the patron saint of lost causes. I wouldn't be here tonight talking to you if I said, oh, it's over. That's not the way it is. This thing is very much in play. And, and again, Claudia is 100% right. I've been told so many times in the many fights I've been involved in, give up, there's no point, it's a done, the best word, it's a done deal, forget about it. And you know what? Even people won against Robert Moses, so I think we can beat Eric Adams. Sorry, there's I'm going around. I'll come back. I see you guys. There was someone back there who was talking. Oh, there we go. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I think we're all basically in agreement here. Can you tell us what the next steps need to be? Do we all need to show up on our faces and know we're pissed off. So what is your recommendation being you go to these meetings and stuff?
Right.
Do we all show up on Wednesday, we get a commitment from people, or do we sign the letter? What are our next steps?
So what I've been building, and Claudia was very explicit and it was perfect. But what we're doing and what I've been doing for the last 6 months is building a citywide alliance. So we now have over 200 organizations in Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Staten Island. It's like nothing I've been doing this for 30 years, we've never done this before.
Including us.
Including you.
Yeah.
The brand newly revitalized Forest Hills Civic and Community Association, right, sorry.
Yeah.
So, which is 100 years old.
Yeah.
Correct. So my point is, there's strength in numbers, and the one thing, and full disclosure, I've run for office. I've done very well every time, I just never won. You know how it works, it's 50 plus 1. Right? So I've done well, I've done really well, but that's never enough, right?
What office?
City Council, but not here. I live in Flushing, Northeast Queens. But listen, I got 46% of the vote when I ran against Paul Vallone, the Vallone family. That should tell you everything. So I did really, really well, but I lost. The point is, I don't really care about that. What I care about is my home. So, yeah, sorry, there was someone else back there. Let me get them, and I'm coming this way. Go ahead.
No, I should say you found out about the mall. Is there anything right now being planned in my neighborhood? For example, there's an empty, I guess, dorm or school on 69th and Kessel. The what? To be honest.
Empty dorm on 69th and Kessel.
That was dormitory, the board kicked the occupants out, even though they had paid rent in advance and everything.
Right.
Mysteriously boarded up the windows, and that was like one gotcha, like, that's a good space to put a tower there. Or even like the side of the highway, Union Turnpike, people already have bodega going on there, just, there's no brick and mortar.
So yeah, there are flashpoints in every neighborhood, and every meeting I come to, they're like, but what about this? And, yeah.
There's one place though.
Okay.
Okay, to your point though, does everybody know the house with the construction fence around it on Manson and 70th? Okay. What? Yeah, so it's been like that for 10 years. Why? And I know because my dog was a puppy and she's now 11. The first time I confronted this, the guy put up the construction fence, he put up the drawing for a multifamily dwelling, and I saw it, and he had Connecticut plates, and I said, listen, I don't mean to bother you, but if you try to build that, you're gonna get stopped because it's against the zoning that we have here, like the zoning we put in. I said, you can't really build that. I don't know why your architect allowed you to put that drawing. He should have checked the zoning. He cursed me out really badly, and I said, listen, I don't make phone calls to the buildings department. I said, so when you get into trouble, don't come looking for me. I said, I don't do that. I said, but you're gonna lose your shirt. Now that property has been stopped again and again and again, and it's sitting there the way that it is for 10 years. So our zoning has held up for us. I just wanted to mention that.
However,
Yeah.
should the zoning change under City of Yes,
It'll be a store.
it'll be a store, a retail store. And another, just the last thing I'll mention about what you asked is what else can you do? So we are putting together in the next few weeks a series of very big press conferences, because now that the budget is over in Albany, and now that that drama is done, and now that this stuff is happening, we want to get everybody's attention. So we're actually doing it in Borough Hall, we're going to do one in Brooklyn, one in Staten Island, one in the Bronx, and we have commitments for over 2,000 people already to come down to City Hall. And we're hoping that your 150 plus will add to that. So that's all in the future. We will make sure everybody knows when we're doing this, but it's going to be sometime in the next month that we're putting all of this together. Okay. The last thing on that topic, and then I'll take the next question.
Because that's before the board's vote.
Correct. That's right. That's before the board's vote. Correct. I mentioned that bill. Assembly Bill 9417. Tell your assembly members they need to co-sponsor and vote for that bill. And if they tell you, I don't know who that bill is, I don't know what that bill is, I'll look into it, you tell them, we're watching you. We're telling this to everybody. Again, it's not personal, it's not about partisanship. It's about this bill being very important to the future of this community and every other community. A9417.
A lot of us would like to leave. Where are the petitions?
Petitions are here.
No, they're here.
Oh, they're here, I'm sorry. Next. Yes, miss.
You have our addresses, our email addresses, etc. Can we get some sort of a mailing with bullet points?
Yes.
Maybe the names,
I will send it to,
contact.
correct. I actually sent a list of all emails already to the council members, so,
You know, you
yes.
just go online and you assemble the.
Okay, it looks like people have had enough.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, everybody. And I'll talk to people too. Yes, Paul Graziano, Graziano.
Thank you.